Welcome to Value Vest Daily, where we deep dive into the best value and momentum investment opportunities. Today, we are unpacking one of the most incredible earnings reports I have seen in a long time. NVIDIA didn't just meet expectations, they absolutely blew them out of the water. And in doing so, they might have just rewritten the entire story around the AI boom. Let's get right into it. You can boil this entire massive story down to this one quote from CEO Jensen Huang on the earnings call. He said the demand for their next-gen AI chips isn't just strong, it is, and I quote, off the charts. And believe me, as we're about to see, the numbers back this up in the most spectacular way possible. All right, first up, let's talk about the money coming in, revenue. NVIDIA pulled in a staggering $57 billion for a single quarter. Now, to put that into perspective, Wall Street was hoping for something around $55 billion. So this isn't just a beat, it's a massive statement of power. And what's truly mind-blowing is the speed of that growth, a 62% jump in revenue compared to this exact same time last year. Look, for a company of NVIDIA's enormous scale, that kind of acceleration, it's just almost unheard of. It signals a tectonic shift in the entire tech landscape. And folks, this is the number that just changes the entire game. $500 billion in confirmed visible orders for their next-generation chips, stretching out all the way through 2026. This is not a guess. This isn't a forecast. It's a real, confirmed order book. It gives them an unbelievable line of sight into the company's future revenue. So here's how we're going to break down this monumental report today. First, we'll talk about how this report just burst any fears of a bubble. Then we'll peek inside what makes NVIDIA's AI factory tick. We'll see how it lifts the whole market, check out the charts and who owns the stock, project some future returns, and finally, we'll cover the risks before giving you our final verdict. Okay, let's dive into our first topic. For months, you've probably heard the biggest question hanging over the market. Is AI a bubble? Well, with these blowout Q3 numbers and guidance for Q4 that soared past $65 billion, NVIDIA basically just answered that question with a very loud, very definitive no. And here's the real takeaway from that. The market now sees this for what it truly is. This is not just hype pushing stock prices up. This is the foundational spending for a brand new industrial revolution. And it's all being powered by profitable, rapidly scaling demand for AI infrastructure. The bubble fears, they've been silenced, at least for now. So this brings us to probably the most important question for any investor, right? What makes NVIDIA so dominant? I mean, how have they built such an unbelievable competitive advantage, or moat, around their business? Let's take a look inside their AI factory. So what is their secret sauce? Why can't a competitor just come along, build a slightly better chip, and steal all their market share? Well, the answer is a lot more complex and, frankly, a lot more powerful than just a single piece of silicon. This right here, this captures their strategy perfectly. You've heard the old analogy, right? Companies like NVIDIA sell the picks and shovels in the big AI gold rush. But NVIDIA has taken that idea so much further. They're not just selling you the tools anymore. They're selling you the entire turnkey mining operation, the heavy machinery, the operating system, the logistics, and all the expert support to run it. And the result of that brilliant strategy is this, near total market dominance. They control something like 95% of the AI accelerator market. That is a level of control that is just incredibly rare in any industry, let alone one as vital as technology. So how did they build this fortress? Well, as you can see, it's not just one thing. It's a complete integrated system. It all starts with CUDA. That's their software platform that's had a 15-year head start on everyone. It creates this deep lock-in effect for developers. Then you add their specialized networking hardware, a growing subscription software business, and of course, the visionary leadership of a CEO who has been at the helm since day one. And all that market dominance, it translates into some absolutely incredible financial strength. I mean, just look at these numbers. A return on equity over 100% is just staggering. It shows how insanely efficient they are at turning investment into pure profit. A debt-to-equity ratio of just 0.11, that means they have a rock-solid balance sheet with almost no debt. All of this has pushed their market cap to around $4.5 trillion, cementing it as one of the most valuable companies on Earth. Now, a question I hear all the time is about the stock's valuation. A trailing price-to-earnings ratio, or PE, of 53, yeah, that might seem a little high. But that's based on what they did earn. When you factor in the explosive growth we've just seen, and you look at the forward PE, which is based on future estimates, it drops to a much more reasonable 32. For a company growing this fast, that's a very, very compelling number. But here's the thing. NVIDIA's success isn't just about NVIDIA. As we're going to see in this next section, their incredible performance creates this powerful ripple effect that actually lifts up the entire AI ecosystem. This is what we call the NVIDIA ripple effect in action. When NVIDIA confirms that demand is absolutely surging, it's a huge signal that the entire AI food chain is healthy. You see memory suppliers like Micron pop, server partners like Supermicro go crazy, and even their biggest customers, the big hyperscalers like Microsoft and Amazon, their stocks rise too because NVIDIA's good news is their good news. Okay, so we've covered the fundamentals, the why. Now let's switch gears and look at the technical picture and, just as importantly, who is actually buying and holding this stock. From a high level, the technicals look really, really strong. The stock price is holding firmly above both its 50-day and 200-day moving averages, which confirms a solid long-term uptrend. And with the RSI indicator sitting right in neutral territory around 49, it suggests the stock has plenty of room to run higher before it even thinks about becoming overbought. So who owns the stock? Well, it's the so-called smart money. Nearly 70% of NVIDIA is held by huge institutions like Vanguard and BlackRock. And if you look at recent filings, you'll see major hedge funds have been adding to their positions. Plus, insiders, the company's own execs and board members, they hold a significant 4.3% stake. That shows you their own confidence in the company's future. And now for the part I know you've been waiting for. With all this insane momentum, what could the future hold? What could this actually mean for your portfolio? Let's ground our projections with a nice round number. Let's say you made a $10,000 investment in NVIDIA stock today. Based on what some of the more bullish analysts are projecting, where could that money be in the next few years? And here's what that potential looks like. If we use a bullish analyst projection of about a 25% compound annual growth rate, that initial $10,000 investment could grow to around $40,000 in just 3 years, and potentially over $90,000 within 5 years. We're talking about the kind of growth that could push NVIDIA's market cap over $10 trillion by 2030. Of course, no investment is ever a sure thing. So to give you a balanced view, we have to talk about the potential headwinds before we get to our final conclusion. So what are the main risks? Well, there are ongoing export restrictions to China, which could limit a key market. There's rising competition from custom chips being developed in-house by tech giants like Google and Amazon. There's always the threat of a major recession slowing down spending and a very real physical limit on how much energy data centers can actually use. These are all things to keep a close eye on. But at the end of the day, our final verdict is pretty clear. The fear of an AI bubble has been totally replaced by the reality of a new industrial revolution. As we talked about, NVIDIA isn't just selling the tools for the AI gold rush anymore. They are selling the entire mine. So the long-term outlook, based on these jaw-dropping numbers, remains exceptionally strong. And as always, please remember that this analysis is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial advice. Please be sure to do your own research before making any investment decisions. Please subscribe, like, and share ValueVest Daily for learning totally unbiased daily opportunities before you put your money to work. Hey, one more thing. Please put in a comment if you want us to deep dive into any specific ticker symbol. Thanks for watching.